Kayla, the Supreme Court has decided in one of the two pending cases against the President of the United States and in favor of the Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance, who was seeking financial documents regarding the President's business and personal financial empire. The Supreme Court just deciding within the past couple of seconds, ruling for the New York grand jury over its bid to obtain the President's financial records, including those tax records. Now, this means that at some point, the outside auditors and banks will be required to turn over those documents to the grand jury. But because of grand jury secrecy rules, the scope of that investigation may not become public anytime soon, Kayla. The grand jury will be expected to keep all of that secret. The tax returns, financial documents, and everything else that they are able to obtain now as a result of the Supreme Court ruling will go into the investigative process, and the public will only see those at some point in the future if there is an indictment or some kind of criminal proceeding. The President had argued this was simply presidential harassment and that local district attorneys should not be able to subpoena these kinds of records from a president while he was in office. They had suggested the president was entitled to a temporary immunity during his term in office. The Supreme Court, Kayla, though, disagreeing and siding with the Manhattan District Attorney this morning. We're waiting on one other verdict here. This will be on the issue of House committees who also subpoenaed financial documents. The Supreme Court expected to issue that ruling here in a couple of minutes. That one will have potentially more implications for the public debate because, as we know, documents that go to Capitol Hill tend to leak to the press. Documents that go to grand juries tend not to. Kayla, back over to you.
All right, Eamon, we'll come back to you as there is more news. I'd like to get the reaction of the Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin. Mr. Secretary, you've deferred to legal counsel on this question before, but with the Supreme Court now ruling that the president must provide this to a New York grand jury, at what point would you expect to satisfy that request?
Well, again, I can't comment on this just because I heard this, but as I understand, that case it doesn't involve the Treasury. I believe that case is between the president and third parties. But I would say the only thing I do agree on that report is when things go to Congress, they tend to get leaked, and when things go to grand juries, they don't.